John Lilly once put it this way: there are no limits at all to the human mind whatsoever, except those we impose on ourselves because of our beliefs. And those limits are also beliefs to be transcended. And that's a view that suggests that the possibilities of human transformation are virtually infinite. And we have no way of knowing the outer horizon of what it means to be human.
And really, to understand all this, everything, you have to go very, very deep into a study of history, consciousness, neurophysiology, everything. You have to be the supreme eclectic type of leaning, and you really have to be wanting to know who you are and what everything's about.
And the thing that you'll find when you go to sacred sites, if you're very humble about it, is that you are on a personal journey, and the sacred site will respond to you in a way that is appropriate only to you. The information is always what you are searching for. And it's the intent you give that energy that defines whether it is used for right action or not. And it is inside these sacred spaces that you will be reminded that you are a god, that you are a bright star.
So what you're trying to do is move through the course without ricocheting off walls or creating karma. You're trying to slide through things smoothly. How do you do that? It's called flowing. There's a technique that you can do that will allow you to touch some part of your inner being that has more knowledge than your conscious state does.
I'm sorry, I'm breaking protocol, right?
No, listen. Hey, come on, sit down. Sit.
Okay.
Come on, sit down.
Are you sure I'm not interrupting anything?
Yeah. So?
I don't know. Even though I just kind of felt like a quiet voice. Before it all goes crazy.
Okay.
I'm Terry.
Bob. Ow. It's good.
You know, you don't look like a Bob.
Oh, yeah? Thank you.
You look like a Robert. Robert reads books like this, and Bob watches TV. My real name's Alina.
What happened to your face?
Something stupid. Look, it's not professional. Just tell me what you think, okay?
Oh, wow. Alina, the singer.
You and I know what I really am.
I think you can be anything you want to be.
Maybe in your world, Robert. It doesn't really happen that way in mine.
Change your world.
Hello? Salted meat, cornbread, broth. require anything else, just ask.
Who are you?
My name is Mrs. Barlow.
Who are you to him?
Marcus Aurelius. You read it? It's a personal favorite. And at the risk of sounding presumptuous, I think you might find it helpful. Perhaps when you've finished, we could discuss it together.
You were right. This is a remarkable book.
May I? The Emperor writes, "How should you be? You should be like a rocky promontory against which the restless surf continually pounds. It stands fast while the churning sea is lulled to sleep at its feet." I hear you say, "How unlucky that this should happen to me." But not at all. Perhaps say instead, "How lucky I am that I am not broken by what has happened, and am not afraid of what is about to happen. For the same blow might have struck anyone, but not many who would have absorbed it without capitulation or complaint."
In Kung Fu, we say, one hand lies. The other hand tells the truth.
Try that again.
If you one day make it back to the West, what will you tell men of this strange word, Kung Fu? Will you tell them that it means to fight? Or will you say, like a monk from Shaolin, to summon the spirit of the crane and the tiger? Kung Fu, it means supreme skill from hard work. A great poet has reached Kung Fu. The painter, the calligrapher, they can be said to have Kung Fu. Even the cook, the one who sweeps steps, or a masterful servant, can have Kung Fu. Practice, preparation, endless repetition, until your mind is weary and your bones ache, until you're too tired to sweat, too wasted to breathe. That is the way. The only way one acquires Kung Fu. Unfortunately, boy, you have not.
Hey guys, welcome. It's Andre Hodge, Infinite Potential Healing, with you once more on a really pleasant autumn or fall, for wherever you may be, afternoon here in Australia. I just want to thank you for finding me and allowing me to be a part of your journey in this pretty epic time to be alive on and aware on our amazing home Earth Mother. And this video will be an addition to the Recalibration to a New Energetic Reality releases. It could be considered Galactic Special Forces, but I usually do the live sort of releases of audios of us actually doing the work. And this also, it's involving someone not public, someone epic out there. So shout out to you, superstar, who sought me out for a session on March the 14th. So this is going to be called Recalibration to a New Energetic Reality Part 5, March 14, 2023. Earth's 12D awakening has begun. And yeah, I'm going to save the surprise relative to Earth towards the end, alright? And I use all that information in there for very specific reasons, which I'll get to as well. I always sort of include me as a discernment variable, but I'm a player as well, right? I'm a bigger player than what the majority out there would acknowledge, because honestly, it's come down to the identifying the guardian, founder, invader sort of crap going on, alright? And I know that when I was in the unawareness, appreciation of that, I sort of probably tolerated, but as soon as I came online, I was a threat or an enemy, and I can work people's mechanics out and stuff and see through all their bullshit. And the benefits I have by being in my field were gained, but then when I was online, I was a threat. So the fact that there's not much support probably is confirmation for all that, alright? You can discern that what I say, perhaps what I'm saying from your perspective is wrong, and that's all cool. Maybe I'm the wrong in all the right out there, alright? But I would invite that we are on a colonized planet. It's been colonized for 25,000 years from the Ayani massacre, if you have gone through the Echo series, and I'm brewing some stuff, alright? I've been brewing a lot of stuff to expand on things and stuff. The key that I've appreciated is context and the mechanics. And the context is like that foundation of truth. Context will give you a launching pad to understanding, and the mechanics is how things operate based on the context, alright? And we've never had really the context for a very long time, and we were not meant to have it. And a lot of these players out there, including ones I've been involved in, have been there to derail us and stuff, right? So I've taken upon my responsibility to push ahead and keep exploring and discovering. As I've said in the past, discovery is one of my greatest joys. So I've had a lot of joy of late, alright? Putting a lot of things together. And but just in the early parts of this, I would just want to I don't want to really get into me too much in what I've gone through recently, but it's been pivotal to all this as well. And it's not only, and that March 14 date is quite auspicious for me on many levels, but it will add a lot of depth to me as a variable out there, and context to a lot of that has gone on to add more data to your algorithm of perception as well, I feel. Alright, so it's not about me. People got to be stopping thinking that there's a lot of distortion related to the me variable. The me data that I include is to add depth to your algorithm of perception of what's going on, and clarity, and where I gain my mechanics from, and the data that I employ in my mechanics to be an ally to people to get up to speed in their own algorithm perception going. I think I've worked out many mechanics, as I say, on a lot of things, and the way I operate in this public way is to help people get up to speed ASAP with their own mechanics, alright? So if you're transfixed on me, then you're distorted in my perspective. You're not interpreting the data I'm offering correctly, but those of you that are getting this, there's this really interesting variable that's revealing itself to me, and in my own self-healing and stuff, because I do extensive work on myself. I've worked out this new state I'm calling Invincible mode, alright? And there's a new sort of layer of people, very, very highly aware, very thorough, very dedicated people that I'm sort of appreciating as to being what I will say invincibles, because they're impervious to all the bullshit, alright? So say, you know, I've said about the 12D sort of thing. Once you appreciate that, it's like you're untouchable in many respects. It takes a lot of effort and dedication, but this video, someone amazing out there that was targeted quite a long time and almost taken out in a incomplete way, because they're pretty badass, alright? And it's just adding confirmation and depth to the significance of this. And so things like that don't happen unless there's a threat, and so there's opportunities to do that to people and stuff, and it confirms. And so stuff like that might happen before, which has been happening to me. And what I've just offered now is I've sort of offered an image on my Access to Me page relative to where my sessions are. I'll just show it now quick. So I've put this image up on my website relative to where my sessions are and stuff, and there's a before April and an after April sort of thing. And what I've just identified in my mechanics was I had some vulnerabilities. I had some scheduled downtime from, say, just the end week or so before the equinox. Right? I had planned it for many months, and the Galactic Special Forces Part 20 with Colleen, we fucking kicked ass, alright? We went after some very, very negative shit, alright? And yeah, the Black Project sort of stuff, alright? The funding for all that, which is outside the purview of sort of oversight and all that sort of shit. And I referred to Iran Contra, if you guys have been across that. That was in the 80s, where they were using drug money to fund Black projects, alright? So there was very diabolical stuff done on the Incarnation War level to our team, alright? And that was being used to fund all the Black projects. So it was very interesting that after we did that, even in California as well, banking system issues, right? So if I was a financial student because I did my currency trading and stuff, and back in 2008, in order to get through that financial collapse, the liquidity used was Mexican drug cartel money, right? That's what greased the wheels to make the financial system go through all that financial hardship we went through 12 years ago, 15 years ago. Wow, it's crazy, yeah. So there's a lot of negative shit in the money system that propels it, right? Or it perpetuates it. So I would identify, and California is a very interesting thing because I've been working with some people out there. Shout out to you guys. Got some stuff too. And I might allude to some stuff in this as well. And in this video it's interesting because I'll get into Earth, Chakra and her voice. And California is a narrative voice, alright, from the technological and the information level, alright. So I've been working with people in parallel over there, alright. So it's in this post-assessment of this March 14, 2023 work I did with someone that I'm going to get into here. a lot of variables became a lot clearer of where there were components in a lot, right? When they seemed like individual orphan potentials, right, that I was working with and they are working with in their regions and stuff, right? So what I've had to do is, long story short, is just in my session setup I realized I had some vulnerabilities and weaknesses, and what's been going on is I've been ambushed in certain sessions and stuff, and there's a patience with that, and it's been waiting for my vulnerabilities. So I've sort of just eliminated the intro chat. I'm going to have to get into the, depending which session you get, I'm going to have to get into the pranic. And then I'm not going to be really interacting a lot outside of employing my security. And I use tech and crystals and all sorts of stuff for that, alright? Because there's a lot of dormant stuff running in people that's just waiting for that. So yeah, I'm going to employ this sort of strategy in my actions, and I'm debating whether to make Soul Shard Recovery a separate session that's a lot more expensive, because who in the frickin' world does recovery of soul shards over 420 billion years, alright? It's very dangerous, especially on a colonized planet with all this shit going on with invaders that have been using loopholes and stuff, and just been observing, like, I've worked out that this funny saying, there's a lot of false light billionaire types that want to be freaking billionaires and milk all the vulnerable people seeking a lot of help and finding their way through all this shit. They're charging so freaking much for not much at all, right? And I appreciate the value component that actually engages people's placebo, like they actually have a lot of value in money, so that actually does a lot for them in themselves. It's not actually anyone else doing it. So there's this illusional thing where the volume of money brings about stuff, right? My rationale for my pricing is it's a bit of a balance, because there's a lot of people in trouble, and I don't want to really, I'm not here to fucking milk the shit out of people and leave them in destitute poverty with not much benefit from it, right? And what I'll just show is another image. So this image is on my website if you want to go look at it. The structure's there and stuff. So I might expand it more. I'm going to say trial this for a couple of months, and we'll see what happens to the solstice, alright? This is an image I've shown many times, and it's related to the 12D gatekeepers, alright? The operators working below 11.5D, alright? Anunnaki, 11.5D. Omicron, Draconians, 10D sort of stuff, that basically milk the awakening people with a lot of money, mess with them, put shit into them and stuff, distort them, hijack them, hack them. Worked out hacking is a new variable that that's what I worked out with me, right? And I had to do a lot of de-hacking over the last couple of weeks. Got a lot of energy back, and then had expansions and integrations and activations and all sorts of stuff, right? So I would just invite you, when you go out into the community and look at the prices and what people are offering and what they're doing, just ask yourself, what are you really getting from this, alright? And if you explore with these people, then hold them to account. Just really do high level discernment, alright? You're the client, alright? The client is always right in a business sense. From a energetic healing perspective, I know in me I have to control my construct of what goes on in the session, so people can't tell me what to do on any level. You know, you're a guest there, and I have to control it for my protection and stuff, right? But yeah, demand more of the practitioners, okay? If you legit don't feel any better or you feel worse and stuff, and I have described the mechanics of when you get your life force back, right? So if I show you the other image. So a lot of people can be having attempts to have breakouts, but they're being so depleted and hamstrung and hacked and distorted from experiences that their 12D potential is derailed, alright? Or handicapped for a while. What I'm going to say here in this video is that red is going to be squeezed like a fucking zit, alright? Fracking zit. And so anyone operating and doing that to people, they're going to have freaking bad days, alright? Because now we've established Earth and 12D, which I'll get into a bit later. But I would just offer this, is there's a lot of players out there that don't have your best intentions. They want to milk your money, and they will be like monorail salesmen that present a lot of shit, but would never acknowledge what's going on to you, alright? It's just an observation that I'm offering, alright? And a lot of these types are going to get shown up, okay? And to me, like the false light billionaires that just want to milk people and gain out of them, fear and greed are related, and there's a lot of uncertainty in the money system and stuff. So if, just do this, alright? If they really see potential and sense what they're talking about, but they're fleecing people, then they don't believe in it, and they sense this 12D brewing, alright? And this is my perspective, and you can discern it and all that. I'm coming public and saying it, so I'm risking a lot, putting my voice and my face and my name to what I'm offering. If they were seeing potential and awakening, why are they trying to fleece people, alright? Because they're in fear of the uncertainty that's coming, alright? And to me, like I said, my pricing and stuff, there's a lot of money that's being sucked out of the system, so there's a lot of people that don't have the finances to get the healing, and healing is like a discretionary spend. If you understand non-discretionary is like a bit like paying your bills and food and stuff. Discretionary is like getting haircuts and makeup and, you know, crystals or all sorts of stuff like that. Healing can be put into that perspective, so people don't have a lot of free money. So charging ridiculous amounts is just not going to help people in their lives, in my opinion, okay? But then there's a balance with the value, and the reason why I'll go back to my session stuff. I have been proactively generous in investing in people for a very long time, but there's a balance, alright? And I know this, if people are governed by money, and they might say they're not, but they are, if there's a governance by the money and you don't charge enough, there's an absence of the integration, okay? I really enjoy the exploration of being a healer and all this stuff, and there's nothing wrong that anyone's done and stuff. It's me and my governance about the proactiveness on the potential realization, because all of the stuff I've said in the videos, alright? And it's up to me as the facilitator to set this up, okay? And I've really enjoyed everything. I've just, in this assessment, okay, what I've just realized is there are vulnerabilities, and the hacking that I've sort of said about is I've realized that I've sensed for a while that there's been an awareness of what I've been doing. So some shit might be done to people before that I have sessions to ambush me and stuff, and it's not their fault. It's just we've had to up our game, alright, of what these scumbags are willing to do. And they're willing to do anything. And say me or the people I'm around, we're threats because we're anchoring all this stuff. And very few are at the moment. So potentially it's like a single point of failure where if we're mega targeted, then we can get derailed and prevent a lot of realization of what's going to unfold, okay? So I just want to invite you to contemplate all this. So I'm just closing off a few of my gaps, alright, and I'm going to get into sessions. And like pranic healing, I do 30 chakras. I clear the spleen twice, parasympathetic, the back of the right hip relative to the Venus stuff that Carlene helped offer in the work that we did in Galactic Special Forces Part 14. And just prior to that, there was a big ambush going on with a lot around my team and stuff like that, and there has been since and stuff. So it's been a very valid sort of exploration with everyone, and I just want to thank everyone. Don't take this as a bad way. Take it as we're reverse engineering all the frackery, right? And you guys have helped us all, alright? But we're pretty on it now, okay? So this is how I'm going to roll, and we'll see how that goes. So what I was saying is, I just want to thank the patience. There's a few people out there that I haven't been in touch with that I intend to. And what I wanted to do was, I wanted to do what I've been through the last few weeks is I had this really strategic and high level downtime with a lot of self-maintenance and healing and stuff. The last 3 to 6 months has been freaking epic. I don't know if you get what I've been a part of with the people I've been involved in, but freaking kicked ass at a very, very high level. Peerless, alright? And I had a cool ally come through before the 14th, and it was very poetic, who's been around me for many years and is legit. They remind me of a term I used to use, like the peerless peers, and that's what I'm sort of associating this invincible mode sort of with. And this individual has helped me and done a lot of stuff and is epic in their own right. They came through organically just before the 14th, and even the day before they were I was ambushed to derail it, alright? And I got there and did a really long infinite session, and I knew it was all about the soul shards, but I had to be quiet. I don't make a lot of noise about the soul shards because it's very specific for the individual if they're up to it. And I have been proactive with a lot of people up until this time, but I'm going to be a bit more careful about it, as I said, about the gaps and vulnerabilities and booby traps and all this sort of shit that now I'm really on my game after doing all what I'm about to just be a bit overviewistic on, because I want to get into the main part of this, which is what you're here for. But yeah, this individual, the metaphor of this break, what I've gone through, and now just doing this show without being in touch with anyone. Back in, when I started getting my healing going, I'll just show an image relative, a bit of an overview image of what I want to offer relative to many things in this. I did this image as well, alright, and this is many things, because getting to the main thing of this, March 14th is a very auspicious day for myself on many reasons, alright, which I won't explain right now, but what I'm just going to do is just offer a bit of a focus where I got my healing going. Mid-2020 I got my own practitioner sort of stuff going once and for all, where I'd been, up until that point, I'd been codependent on externals. Like, I didn't really feel it wasn't a confidence thing, I just wasn't able to manage all the shit that I was feeling, and it took me, like I've said in many videos, took me 8 years to really reverse engineer, at least, up until that point, to realize, oh, this is the mechanics of the reality. And the indigos and guardians and all that are very, very persecuted sort of beings on a colonized planet, under control by very negative forces and stuff. And so those of us like me, our journey is a lot harder than everyone else, and that's why everyone else seems to have an easy path. Like I said, they can be Jack the Rippers and get away with it, and you just dip your toe into doing something wrong and you're just guillotined, alright? But yeah, one of the things that I learned during that early days is I have a revocation that I employ for my infinite potential sessions, and early on, this ally, I shared it with them, and they contributed to it, alright? And so I've got another ally out there that sought me for quite a few sessions, and I employed it with that session the next time. And what I found, it's nothing negative to this individual that came and sought me out just recently, that we recovered soul shards to get them into Invincible mode, and they've been absolutely freaking kicking ass now. But in incorporating someone else's frequency into my healing sessions, okay, I would just use the word distorted it, and it didn't have any effect, okay, and I could sense it, and it was very interesting. So this is where I'm going back to my healing construct, and it's got to be all my energy. And on the website, relative on the access to me where I've got my revocation, I said if anyone changes this, it's no longer my expression, okay? And this is nothing negative or anything. It's what I'm offering to any of you out there that are practitioners. It's important that you establish your own frequency and your own expression in all that is involved with it, because those that will seek you out will be seeking out for you what you can offer in your codes, all right? And so that's a teaching in itself, and it was a great teaching for me, and that's where I had to really own my stuff and take it to the next level on that. And I appreciate all those involved that helped gain that clarity. And so what I've done, the metaphor that I'm just getting to is that what I've done recently is gone to ground, no contact with anyone, and I've been identifying hacks and influences over me and stuff. And the Galactic Special Forces, from just before part 17, there was a special release, and in that, okay, what happened was Carleen got hacked, which triggered all her memories of all my past life deaths and stuff like that, which she was very cautious of me, and she went in and did something. This is nothing wrong with her and all that, without my permission. And what I worked out was that it wasn't targeting her, it was targeting me via her, alright? And so because I have a circle of trust with her, sort of thing, she went in and did stuff that wasn't with my permission, alright? And there's not, like I said, there's nothing wrong with it. This is just mechanics shit that goes on that's high level, and these frackers will do whatever they'll use our kryptonite against us, alright? And so if you've got any vulnerabilities, it will be exploited and stuff like that will be done, alright? So yeah, I had to go to, and there's been other people in the Circle of Trust that got hacked back in, I'll just show another image that I showed earlier. I think I showed it in part 15 or 16 of GSF, right? So I haven't shown this for a while, but this is just a bit of an overview, alright? Because I haven't added to it because there was a huge targeting just before GSF 14. 14 was about Venus and restoring Venus to her glory, alright? Because the negative aspects here were hijacking her and distorting all the relationships. So just before that, and the strategic work, there was hacking of people around me as well, alright? And then they, like, ally around me got massively attacked by Angela Miller, sort of thing. Tried to have her heart eaten and destroyed, and on multi-dimensional level to, because I've got backup and allies and stuff, right? So just remember that October time as well, because I had to get one of my crystal mats from someone that was using it to hack into me, sort of thing, to get to my energy. And until I got that back, we couldn't get on with these missions. And then they got all this GSF stuff started late October on, and it's been on since this equinox. So that's why I needed downtime. Amazing sessions with incredible beings, putting them all back together and stuff. A lot of derailments and efforts to take me out and people around me and stuff. And the other thing I would just want you to take note of is the timing with GSF 11, 12 and 13, alright? Because what I'm going to talk about for this other individual that's behind the scenes is, for them it was big, because they got the clarity of what needs to be done. And I think I said in Galactic Special Forces Part 14, I said, I just want to make Earth naked and clear of all this shit, of all the false grids and stuff. And so this body of this recording is about us getting to that done on March 14th, alright? And so then I went to ground after that and did all this healing and stuff. So what happened was, I was planning this huge maintenance, and I knew that variable, but it wasn't just her, Carleen, on that hack, it was others. And if I go back to this other image that I had before, so this is a bit of an overview. So it's amazing because March 14th, 2023 was exactly 10 years since I actually heard Andrew Bartz's, alright? And then all things unfolded from then. Okay, so it's quite poetic that we got the 12D Earth grid clear and all that going from all the frackery going on to Earth 10 years to the day, right? Because March 14th has significance to me, alright? And this is pretty crazy, hey? Because it's my brother's birthday. I got a brother that's a couple of years younger than me. And if you go back and if you've been thorough with me over the last few years, I did a release of Galactic Special Forces Part 9, which is basically all the targeting that went on with him. And it's about how a family member who is in the SWAT team, Star Force, and his business partner basically totally targeted my brother after I went through my awakening. They had dormant programs that created a freaked up business in the most haunted place ever in my freaking city. So, and they got engaged to do that in their own dormant programs when I went through my awakening in Sydney. So when I returned, I went literally from the frying pan into the fire of this kitchen to help my brother out. Derailed so much. And then in 2015, many years after the whole destruction financially and stuff, because all that was a variable in my bankruptcy and all this sort of shit, and all these other variables that I won't get into here, but I ran into that cousin many years later and I had to shake his hand, and what happened was I went in. I don't shake people's hands or touch them. It's sort of like a contract, so I had to go, actually, the greedy perpetrator that destroyed me, my brother, I had to actually go rescue his soul. He was doing negative MyLab missions and stuff, and the reason why I just bring this up is one of the abilities that people don't recognize is, say, in Dreamtime or other aspects, I actually have the ability to go in and observe from another body perspective. And a lot of people get me unable to distinguish between a viewing, where it's me and the body, because people actually want it to be me to justify a relationship sort of thing, and when it's not actually that, it's just a observation sort of thing. And I know I did that in the Irony Massacre and stuff like that, okay, from a masculine perspective, and a lot of people can think that I was their twin flame or whatever bullshit, but I know the truth, alright? And so I invite you guys to go and listen to that. It's a few years old, but it's pretty epic. But I was doing that in 2015, and I was nowhere near this level, but what I'm getting to is my brother's birthday was on March the 14th, alright? And this is the epic thing, alright? So I was on Revolution Radio in 2013, and if you go and listen to the Truth Frequency interview that I released in mid-2021, at the end of it I go through the mechanics how I got to Revolution Radio and that, because I had a interview in May 26, I think, 2012, and I got a taste of being on the air, and I never really got much of a chance to talk because they all talked about their crap. So I was a bit hungry for it, and I had a lot to offer back then. So then I found Revolution Radio and went on there, and then March 14th, 2013, I heard Andrew. And the reason why I heard him, I was just randomly on the radio. He had a guest by the name of Daniel Redtail Hawk. My brother's name is Daniel, and it was on my brother's birthday, so it was like, what the F? So I actually paid attention, and that's what got me into all that. And it was a really amazing ride back then and stuff, and it was raw and stuff. But then then he went and did Galactic History 1 in Mount Shasta in July, alright? And my involvement went from being just a listener to participator in roundtables to being on his shows, and then I became his producer. But I was also dealing with the back end of all the clients that had paid or seeking sessions and stuff, and there was about just under 100 before he went to Mount Shasta that I was managing and dealing with, and he said he would come back and do them, and he didn't do them. But this is a big thing, and I was getting into hacking, alright? And this is this downtime that I had from March 17th on, alright? Because I basically worked out all the people that had ever been hacking me and accessing me and using me and all that, and I cleared them all out on that day. and what I'm getting to about this era into 2013 and the 10 years, all right, to getting to this point of doing this particular mission with someone very special. It was just a silent achiever in the back end, all right? And I said about around the time of Galactic Special Forces 12 and 13, which was just before Christmas 2022, because she was sitting on this information to do it, and I offered that I was aiming to look to clear all the false grids off the planet. So we'll get to that a bit later, but around this time, all right, and the hacks, when Andrew was in Mount Shasta the second week, I think it was it was late June 20, mid-June 2013, alright? The week he was actually in Mount Shasta, I was absolutely freaking sick as a dog. I could not get out of bed for a week, and I don't get sick, alright? So I knew back then, what I'm getting to is I was being hacked and harvested back then, alright? With all the shit that's gone on, and all the stuff I've been through, and all the attacks and stuff, from back then it was beginning with me, very early on. The other thing about Mount Shasta is I know it's an Anunnaki stronghold, and I know that now, and a lot of the perspectives in Galactic History 1, from my perspective, are just Anunnaki propaganda, okay? There's nothing neutral about it. There's a lot of offerings, but then there's steering away from the truth to distort things relative to their benefit, okay? So I'm seeing it as Anunnaki propaganda. So I've got a lot to answer for my contribution to all that shit, but it was all my codes, and as Colleen has said in Galactic Special Forces Part 10 and 11, my residual energy, so much harvested and all this sort of shit. The Bloodhound units like Angela and Martina and others, they're all aspects of that have been doing a lot of negative for people. It's interesting, in just when I was end of January 2020, so this was Chinese New Year was 23rd 2020, and that's when all the shit was brewing with Chaos 19, alright? Andrew ambushed me with Martina after one of his mentor groups and got her into my field and stuff, and I cleared her, and I knew there was shit going on. He didn't warn me or anything, he just brought her in. So we had a recording and stuff, and then 2 days later he brought Monty in. So he was already strategically planning what he was going to do later on after and all that. Okay, so he was aware of what was going to unfold with Galactic History 2 and stuff, and what his plans were. He was using me then and stuff, alright? So what I'm getting to in this March 17th, after the 14th, I went through this really deep clearing, and I removed all the energetic hacks, like I said, with the Carlene sort of stuff and other allies around me and that. So this is why I've been very quiet, because I've been rebuilding myself and regrouping from the ground up with new energy and clearance. And then what happened after I cleared all those hacks, I got about 30% of my life force back, and I got a lot of gifts. I also had a massive past life healing kicked in, and I've got a couple of red dots where there were deliberate attempts to frickin' blow my brain up. And this one being that I said that came through before the 14th, that's been an ally that helped me with this revocation sort of stuff. Late 2018, I went through this really big hit, and it took 9 months to recover. And they were out in the multi-D, and they could see how much my brain was scrambled and stuff, and they were just like, I hope you don't mind, Andre, but I just went in and fixed your brain. And around June 2021, around June 2019, that was where Andrew got kicked out of Barbados, he went to Colorado, and he eventually got kicked out of there because he was doing disgusting shit there as well. Everywhere he goes, the land does not want him there, alright? And he plays the victim and all this sort of shit. But I did an AI show with him, and I was not really well and all that, and he brought me on and stuff, and this other ally, she's the one that helped me, and it took 9 months to help, right? And I had, what happened in October 2018, there was a power brownout, okay? And the power went out, and then when the power came on, it like triangulated my brain in my location of my house. That fucking crazy how it could know where I was, and it tried to take me out, right? And it just messed with my brain and scrambled it like a scrambled egg sort of thing. Same sort of thing that happened mid-April 2020 as well, alright? Trying to take me out relative to galactic history too. So what I'm just saying is a lot has gone on in over that time and stuff. And I know I haven't been 100%. I've been good. And I wouldn't be offering myself how I've offered myself. But there's been a lot of variables. And I'm grateful to that person that helped me then. They've been epic. And that's why I was getting to how it was March 12th where they came through organically. And this is a bit of a metaphor of why I'm so proactive and invest in people so much, is that for this individual to come through to me, alright, I know how epic they are, okay, and I've known them for many, many years, most of that time, alright, maybe 2016, mid-2016 I got to know them a lot better, so it's been a lot of years, right? And the reason why I'm saying it is this individual is like a metaphor for many out there, I feel, alright? And when they came through just recently, I was very, very excited. But I'm also disappointed, okay? And I'm saddened because they have to resort to me to get this help of reclaiming their soul shards and stuff. And they've been across all the people I've known through all the years and stuff, and been investing in, you know, they're a genius and very smart and very careful and stuff, and explored other people like Till Swan and all that sort of stuff. But all these people have not helped them at all, alright? Because there's no benefit helping someone that's superior to them, okay? And all these players out there they can't lie that they don't know. They're either fake, they're either charlatans, or they're opponents that do not want their enemy on top of their game. And so this individual to me is a metaphor of the whole, I mean, I'm including this in this recalibration show because it's a constant for us all, is that a lot of these beings out there have not been operating in our best interests. And to me, this one individual, and there's countless others out there to me, alright, is humanity are a loss because they're not on their game and their potential isn't realized because their world changes, their universal changes. This one, since they've done the healing and recovered all their soul shards, and it was a freaking magical session. It was so cool. And that's why I love doing so much time and stuff. I've got to really hold myself back here and be disciplined in this, because I've got to be able to endure what's about to unfold and come, alright? Because these frackers aren't going to go out nicely. They're going to be fucked up, evil and twisted and diabolical, nasty. And yeah, I'm saddened because they should have had the support before me, and I'm grateful that they trust me, and a lot of people do, alright? And this redoing of my energy is to offer a different frequency of clearing of all that stuff, because I feel like a lot of the hacking and stuff was to distort my frequency of just shaking out people before they come, you know. And what happened with this individual, they've known me for a long time. They could not listen to, say, the Galactic Special Forces stuff. They will get shut down. When she booked, paid the money, she could hear me, but she was blocked to Carlene still, and there's a lot of weaponized energy done against us. So you guys don't hear us, especially the invasion stuff, alright? So my investment in this time and real downtime and stuff has been to checkmate all that with the 12D Earth and stuff, okay? Because I'm not here to fucking mess around. So yeah, it's sort of a bittersweet, because I know our world if this one individual had been given their information that they needed and healing that they required 5 years ago, our world and universe would be a different place. So, and then I interpretate that of how many have been misguided and fucked up by these false light billionaires out there, alright, that are fleecing people for their money and not really helping them and setting us all up for failure to create this world we're in, and it's no longer acceptable on this planet. Alright, trust me, they're gonna frickin' hate what's about to unfold with the grid now. Alright, there's no place to hide, and truth is the only frequency that will be acceptable. And the invaders, alright, good luck. So I was about to bring this back in because, so I had all this shit go on. What happened back in around that time, like I said, I was dealing with all the people that had paid that didn't get sessions. So there would be eventually a couple hundred that paid Andrew for sessions that I was just like, you're going to repay them or you're going to do the sessions? He just took their freaking money. It was just crazy. It was so unprofessional, alright? It was crazy times. There was so much interest, but he just wanted more money and he didn't want to do the sessions for the price he took them for and all this shit, and he played dumb. So I was very disillusioned, and he was using Nikki, like, he was doing recordings in this castle, and the fucking castle hated him, and all the land was hating him, so he was using Nikki as his guardian and shit, and he fucked her over big time, and there was a falling out, and she almost got taken out, like so many other people have been, alright? And so I stuck with her to make sure she wouldn't die, but I was disillusioned, alright? And so I've got that October commitment thing where on a train ride to my meditation group, I was just sitting there and I was realizing there's this fucking new one back in October 2013. So I committed to what I was going to do, alright? I committed to Earth and my role in that, and I forgoed a lot of this life. And the only other one I know that's done this is Captain Marvel, alright? Truly. And being disciplined and masterful and all this sort of stuff, okay? Like a guardian of the planet. And so we sort of found each other May 2021, and there was all this derailment, Anunnaki fucking insectoid fucking derailment bullshit, starseed shit. Someone I thought I was an ally, I was just an infiltrator and fucked things up so much. Took 11 months to recover from that. And then I got sabotaged, and my brother got sabotaged massively with all this stuff that I was sort of saying, alright? That was about a year ago. Yeah, that big green line is where I committed to this, and so this March 14th was a big fucking achievement for me, alright, with all this shit going on. And then there's the Asher, where I discovered Asher and we got all the clarity of all the stuff. So that's the big mechanics of what's sort of gone on, and there's been a lot of hits, and I don't think I was meant to be here, and this past life recovery was related to sort of these brain smashings and stuff, and I was in a gestation period, and then I got more talents and stuff. So I've had, yeah, I'm on my game like I've never been before, but I've been very careful. And what I wanted to do is just get this recording out without any involvement with anyone, so I could sense if there's any gaps in the recordings and stuff, and have it as a template of reference of seeing what goes after this release. So those of you that I need to get in touch with, I will. Just hang in there a little bit. I'm doing some trial and erroring of the new technology sort of thing. Alright? And we'll get there. Okay? So, yeah, it's very interesting times, and so it's probably going to be pretty rough in this world and stuff. So I took the opportunity to have some serious downtime, because it's been freaking 10 years, guys, for me. I don't know what you've been doing, but just you do an assessment of what your last 10 years have been like. Who have you sought out? Who have you invested in? What's happened to you, right? Have you been fracked up? Have you got involved with false light billionaires that just want to use you for money and shit, and, you know, and do this to you, keep you below your potential of 12D, alright? Trust me, they're going to have a freaking bad day. Alright? So, I've been going a long time. You haven't had me for a while, so it's just an interesting time, and all this all these variables add to the depth of this, alright? how significant it was for me, but I'm a player in this world, and I have to talk my truth and my story because I'm an enemy to a lot of the beings out there that have been playing games behind the multi-dimensional scenes. They're like 3D Dr. Jekylls, but they're multi-dimensional Mr. Hydes doing all sorts of frackery in the back end, alright? Trust me. And that's why I've got these very aware people around me, alright? And I'm just offering the variables at play because the scales of this warfare are fucking epic. So if people like Carlene and my ally Captain Marvel and all these other people have been derailed that have peerless level perception, then don't feel bad if you're struggling and you've been hit. And nothing I'm saying here is negative. It's just data to help people really realize that how much they're being run by shit that's not them, alright? Because even another being, yeah, Annika, like I had to help Annika out because her soul was quarantined in her own body, a bit like this being that I talked about back in that late 2020 time where someone sought me out, and I'll just label as, every time I mention her, I'm just sending out telepathic big hug to her because she's an amazing being. But I label her as Audrey, like Audrey Hepburn in A Roman Holiday, if you love that movie with Gregory Peck, about an amazing being that's just trying to have a healing experience with a lot of responsibility. And there's some fucking species was trying to inject her soul from her body to take over her body and her contracts with all the technology to bring about an invasion, alright? So unfortunately Annika had that metaphoric experience where something was trying to take over her body and she was fighting it, so I had to help her out. So these high-level beings are heavily targeted, alright, as am I and stuff, and it's not a joke, right? But this March 14th, it's a victory to its soul. And this other being in the behind the scenes, she had an effort to take her out the week before because she was, there's a particular practitioner out there, or teacher called Pleiadian Healer, and she's had her channel taken down recently because she outs all these frackers, and she was talking about the Akashic Records, and I said, I was working with Galactic Historian relative to the Akasha bullshitter, so I planted some stuff, and this being was going to send her an email. She was doing a multi-dimensional email, and right at that time she had a freaking car crash, which was very ironic, alright? So it's like tracking back through time sort of thing. That's what happened to me Lionsgate 2019, where I was brewing to go to Europe, and that all got derailed, and all the money sort of shit all went on, alright? And then all the money was hijacked because Galactic History 2 should have been my time, and it was derailed and that. So the war's been going on and we just not realised what we've been involved in. So I'm going to get into the meat and potatoes of this release. I've been talking a while, and who knows how long the clips will be. But yeah, so someone sought me out for an emergency session, and what I was saying is I was aiming to degrid Earth of all the fracked up ley line sort of shit. I wanted to make her naked again. That was about GSF 14 time, but I worked it out, I think probably around the same time that this person was sitting on it, alright? So we were going to do this in the future, but I just had the echo of it, alright? And she got it just before Christmas, around Galactic Special Forces 12 and 13 time, okay? So she almost got taken out, and then she sought me out for session. So it was pretty, like I was planning this downtime, so like GSF 20 with Carlene was a massive achievement, adding all that shit. So it was like a victory, and as I said, the whole 6 months have been crazy. So I was very much looking for some downtime. Not that I'm not on my game and can't do sessions, but I really did need to disarm and just let down and stuff, and it's a marathon, not a sprint, alright? And I'm very good at pushing hard and pushing way beyond what most people can do, but I was just, yeah, I knew this sort of hacking had gone on, and I had to keep quiet about it because I didn't want in the future to be targeted as well. And I felt like I was being read, right? By there's all these individuals out there, but they're all on the same team, okay? And they're all working behind the scenes together, but they don't seem like it in the 3D. They're just like octopus tentacles sort of thing. Like I said in the Incarnation War, they're not all the same souls, but they're all on the same team, and it's not our side, all right? So during this session, this individual is very epic in her own right, okay? And she's been around the Asher sort of time, before the Asher time, but around that, alright? So we've done many sessions and stuff, and she's evolved massively. I've always suggested most people to go out and do pranic healing as a modality to be able to clear themselves and stuff, and she did 4 levels in 2 months. Epic, proactive, peerless, pretty much invincible, right? So getting to this, right? This is the whole purpose of it, because it's crazy. And I've set all these dates and stuff, and she booked on that time, and it was a bit of an emergency and stuff, and I knew it was my brother's birthday and all that, but I've had to cut everyone out. I've been committed to this big green line since 2013. It's like, when you do that, you don't have normal human experience. Everyone can get used against you. My brother, as I said, in Galactic Special Forces Part 9 has been used for bait and all this sort of stuff, and I have to be very careful. And I've literally destroyed my life taking care of my family and stuff, and I've got backed against the wall in many things in life because of the consequence, right? So I've taken a strategic focus on getting me sorted out, so then I'll be able to take care of everyone else, alright? So I haven't been in touch with him for a long time. I've had to block him out. As I said, I lent a crystal mat out, and I was intending to get it to him January last year, 2022, because I lent it to someone and they'd already had it for 3 months. I only intended for them to have a few weeks. It took 14 months to get it back, and late October last year, 2022, so that's when all the GSF stuff kicked off. But I needed to get it to him to make sure he was alright and he could employ it. And then in April last year, he had a compound fracture in his leg, when I actually needed him to help step up with family sort of obligation sort of stuff. So targeting and all that sort of shit. And I can't really take care of people and all that sort of stuff. So 14th of March is a pretty big day for me then, alright? So this person came through and she was in an emergency. So I just, well, you're in trouble. And I'm a practitioner, I've got to be available. So I haven't seen my brother for over a year because I've just had to block everyone out for all this stuff that's going on for my own safety and protection, because people are used and they're not willing to do the healing, then they're sabotaged and hijacked and used as a proxy attack and all this sort of stuff, right? So this person's come through for many sessions, and around that sabotage that I said, she actually bought crystals from me. I don't make them available. People have to prove themselves to me and then offer it if they're under a lot of attack and stuff like that. And I charge a lot for them. But the start of this year, I was very proactive on getting them around the world because of these Invincibles that I'm sort of saying that have been under massive threat and targeted by these people and stuff. So that's why I was saying with California, it's very interesting because this is pretty cool. Around April, I had this amazing lady come through. She's over that way. And we did an epic session, and I've done many on her, and she's been under attack and all this sort of stuff, right? But after the first session, and I've said this before, she had a multi-dimensional answering message left for her, and then the day she woke up, and it was from Andrew, telling her if she worked with my crystals and with me, she would destroy her and her family, and that's basically what's gone on up until earlier this year. So then what I did is, and I thank all you guys for coming through for sessions at the end of the year and stuff. I had enough money to actually do this in my own costs, and I literally decided, fuck that. Whatever they don't like, they're telling us exactly what to do. So I thought, fuck this. I sent her the biggest, over 20 kilos of crystals, 40, 50 pounds, the biggest load I've ever done. It cost me $300 a send, and I thought, you don't like that? I'm going to send the biggest, baddest bunch over to them. And she's done done work in Mount Shasta, and that's where he didn't want her to work, all right? Because that's where Galactic History 1 was done, and it's in alignment with the Anunnaki, all right? So if you see all these variables at play, all right? And so this individual, this other one that I'm talking about over in that region, they are an invincible level of perception because she can see everything as well better than anyone out there. Like these people I deal with, like Carlene, and there's a few others that are out there as well that I've been dealing with that are far superior to anything that you know, all right? And I've been allies with them, and they've been anchors around the world and stuff, all right? The level of threat and shit that they've been through, like this one I'm telling you about in this particular reading, is only confirmation of that. So a lot of the people I've at my own cost got the crystals and stuff, and in an effort for Earth and to get all this stuff going, but this lady, she actually legit paid for them, and they're not cheap. And then when I tried to get them organized in April last year, they got derailed by someone around me, and I had to go back to ground and let them heal and stuff, because this individual did light language and thought she had a right to do all this shit. And it's a massive metaphor of the influences part 3, alright? But we didn't have context for it back then, and it's not entirely their fault. But if you've got ambition and delusion is obfuscating your truth and hiding it and presenting a false facade and shit, I can't deal with anyone with ambition, because they'll fucking throw you under the bus for their own benefit and lie about it all, alright? So I have generosity discernment, okay? And people that don't, you know, like I said with this crystal mat, no investment, no value, and took 14 months to get back, and it was being used to hack into me. So all these shit is stuff that I cleared out recently, and I worked out that they've all got angles in me and shit no longer, and that's where I got 30% of my energy back. But anyway, so this individual, we got to this session, and in January I had to do a session on her, and it turned out that her daughter, I had to freaking do an exorcism because her daughter wouldn't let her get healing, and the daughter's only 5, and it was freaking epic, and basically screaming and shit. And then I cleared this big entity out, and it was fucking Greedy Queen, because a lot of these people that have been used as target, as ambush sort of thing, they've all had interactions with these people, and so they're being sent to, say, myself especially, and Carlene as well, to derail us, alright? So it's like warfare. Clients are used as weapons against this sort of stuff, so that's why I'm locking down my scope of what I'm doing, alright? Because battling down for the storm, but I love it, bring it. I love clearing these people, because then they're just so epic and they come out of their fog. So the whole point of this conversation, we're here. Obviously I haven't talked for a while, so I want to have a chat, alright? So what came out of this session with this individual, it's been astonishing, their freaking parabolic development. I knew they had talents and stuff, and we're lucky to have them as well, alright? So this being is like a universe changer as well, an Invincible, alright? And very, very peerless perceptions and stuff. But it took me a while to really get my head around around their talents, because some beings are so multi-dimensional, it's very hard to translate it. And I appreciate that, because they get so much. But her masterful, you know, relationship to it all has been really impressive. And so if I just go back to this image, so they've been around me about just before the Asher time sort of thing, right? And so what I was saying about them buying the crystals and stuff, when I observe, like the March 14th is a big day in many respects for me, alright? but I didn't really anticipate it beforehand. But after I appreciate it now. When I just observe this the mechanics of how this individual rolls and stuff, they've legit do the right thing by me in every way. Okay? So, like I said, I've got crystals out at my cost and stuff. Nothing negative or anything to those sort of individuals, but it's just quite poetic for me that this all came together in this individual, and then when I assess, why did I do it with this individual? And then I just measure all the mechanics of the way they interact and roll with people. It's very much like me. And whatever's going on in their life, they'll never bring it. They'll do the right thing by me and what I need and my mechanics, and respect the value and the enormous technical variables on an energetic level of doing all the right thing for the best potential to reveal. Okay? And so I just find all, and it's not anyone else done anything wrong, but in everything that they've done with me has been ideal for me, and I really appreciate that. And a lot of other people do that as well, so don't worry. But it's just, I just find it fascinating of all the ingredients to making this sort of thing work, right? And it's very cool, and they're very understated and stuff. And so when it did happen, and now I'm reflecting on all this and all the other benefits I've gained since then, it was just, they're very understated, and I appreciate that and their nature. And I'm very good at recognizing characteristics and stuff, and it's just very cool, alright? And I'm just offering all this because there's a lot of people out there that are very understated, and they are worthy of a lot of acknowledgement. So all of those out you that are doing great work that none of us know about, I know I've done a lot and it's never been acknowledged. So I'm always proactive on giving credit, because I think it's inspiring to all the rest out there to know that good things are happening despite the craziness out there, right? And we are having an effect and stuff, and this is an enormous victory for us that no one out there will ever acknowledge. So you guys that pay attention to this will have to really anchor that March 14, 2013 and see what's happened since, alright? Because a lot is not going to be sustainable in this world, right? That's artificial and false and aligned with the negative occupiers of our freaking amazing home, right? So, getting into the earth stuff, there's three main things. Like, we went through the session and all of a sudden things unfold and we have to escalate, right? As always. And that's why, and I really appreciate Colleen for allowing those sessions I've done with her that unfolded this way to be out there. This one won't be, because they're not safe. Colleen's putting a target on her back with that, by doing that, as am I, but I've got this commitment, and so is Colleen in her own way, alright? And I haven't been in touch with her and stuff, and I will, but I've kept everyone at bay with this thing of me doing this test with the new frequencies and getting my body online and stuff. Because all those hacks that I said, there was all these overlays that weren't mine. All these people and all other people and people doing negative shit that I had to fucking clear out that weren't me, alright? I'm a different person because I've removed all that freaking shit, okay? So, the three main things were there. So, just because we've sort of offered these information in the invasion and stuff, don't assume other celestial beings and high-level beings know, alright? So it's very few in the universe know that still, okay? It's only been a few weeks. The universe has been around for hundreds of billions of years, alright? And so, I'll get into the three main things, and I'll get into each of them. So what it was found out was Earth Mother didn't even know. So what I might do, I might offer a cool clip that's from Lord of the Rings, the Twin Towers, alright? Because it's a metaphor of what happened, and a metaphor for all of us, okay? So I'm just going to offer that clip. It's a cool one, you'll know it. But I've always looked for an excuse to employ it, so we'll see you on this other side, alright?
The courtesy of your hall is somewhat lessened of late, Theoden King.
He's not welcome.
Why should I welcome you, Gandalf Stormcrow?
A just question, my liege. Late is the hour in which this conjurer chooses to appear. Last spell I named him. Ill news is an ill guest.
Be silent. Keep your forked tongue behind your teeth. I have not passed through fire and death to bandy crooked words with a witless worm.
Stop. I told you to... Is it stop?
Theoden, son of Finger. Too long have you sat in the shadows. I would stay still if I were you. Hearken to me. I release you from the spell.
You have no power here, Gandalf the Grey.
I will draw you, Saruman, as poison is drawn from a wound. If I go, Theoden dies. You did not kill me. You will not kill him. Rohan is mine. Be gone.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a cool clip, cool movie, cool series. Can't believe it's 20 years old, hey. So that scene is where Gandalf dispels the King of Ronin, alright, from Saruman the Thoth being. That's putting a spell over him to puppet him and derail the defense of the invaders, alright. So one of the big things that was going on with Earth is with this client, awesome individual, we had to communicate to Earth that she was being invaded, right? And what it turns out, I'll show you an image. I'll just show another image I've got. So this is what I've done. This is that recalibration to a new energetic reality 2. So I've gone through a big upgrade, so I went down to ground, if that makes sense, to integrate it, to not let things in, and I did my best to do that, and I was getting attacked and all this sort of shit, right? I've showed this image in the past of what's been done from the Phantom Earth, Nibiru, over to Earth, the Akasha Bullshit overlay, and the true Earth grid underneath the false, and we're being blocked, alright? So what I've done is I've expanded that relative to this particular video. Because what it turns out is Earth Mother herself, relative to that Lord of the Rings clip, the same shit is being done to her and all of us potentially as well as a byproduct of that. So she was in a cloud of her own stuff that she couldn't see what was going on. Alright? So my opinion, this is where the Aurora Borealis was being hacked to hide her dream and her perception. Alright? So the players out there that are hacking into the Aurora Borealis to hack into our dreams, we're also hacking into her perception and dream of what she wanted. Alright, so that's the mechanics. That's one of probably, or if the mechanics of how her consciousness was hijacked. Alright, a bit like what I said with Annika and this other Audrey girl. Alright, in a way, not exactly the same thing, but if you catch my drift. Alright. The consciousness of a being can be affected to prevent the awareness, right? And so we had to let her know that she didn't have to cater for these invaders. There's an invasion going on, and she needs to know about it, because she didn't know about it, all right? And then what was going on when I was working on this friend. Her thyroid came up while we were dealing with Earth, okay? So Earth's throat was being blocked, so her ability to communicate with us. And this relates to me getting crystals over to California, which is essentially the false grid's throat chakra, right? The planet, the narrative, right? So that's why Silicon Valley and all that, the false tech, censorship and all that, truth and all that has been going on into the awareness of people, from my perspective anyway. So what it came out was that this throat sort of thing of Earth, as a metaphor through this client, was that Earth Mother's throat and ability to communicate with people was being blocked. So there was actually, underneath the Akasha Bullshit, there was a false Earth communication grid going on. Okay, so a lot of people, even this other very epic being that I did the session for a couple of days before, she was starting to use her talents really epically, and she did a qualification with Earth on something, and Earth told her no, and it was a bit weird in this friend. She defaulted to that, but it was a bit of a giving away your perception authority sort of thing, and it felt off. And what I did is I let this friend know that we discovered that there's this whole fake communication network that's hijacked Earth to infiltrate us. And so people think that they're actually communicating with Earth when they're actually communicating with a fucking AI or some technology that's not her, alright? And not only that, it's like a magnetic versus it's like an electric, which is masculine, versus magnetic, which is feminine. And that's why there's all obelisks all over the planet, because it's connecting into this false Earth magnetic masculine energy. So if you understand, masculine is energetic and feminine is magnetic. So I said that wrong. It's this false electric masculine energy with the obelisks and stuff. It's all related, in my opinion, okay, to distort our natural connection to the natural grid of Earth and her natural communication with us. So it's all been obfuscated and hijacked and stuff. And not only that, it's been harvested energetically to feed all the Phantom Matrix, negative universe, and all these structures that aren't aligned to our harmony of the universe or our betterment, okay? So again, like, me being proactive and getting these crystals over to California is actually added to this as well, which is crazy, hey, right? And so what we did was turn that off, reconnect the natural circuit, so the true Earth is back online, okay? She's unclouded, she can see all this shit, and she doesn't have to cater for the invaders. And then the third big thing was, then we could work with all the ley lines and stuff, because we worked out that the 12D grid wasn't online. It was all false and all this sort of stuff. So we engaged the 12D ley line grid on the planet, and then we encrypted it so it's unhackable. So it's absolute now. All right. So Earth is no longer the spell on her and then us for the disawakening of humanity. So the awakening potential is massive on the individual level. Not only that, there's no distorted Earth like interfering with highly aware beings, because understanding this mechanics isn't easy. All right, it's pretty high level. And I'm making a big call here that you discern me. All right, what I've been through and what I've done and what I've created that isn't supported at all out there. All right, which is confirmation. I would take that anyway. And then we engaged the 12D grid, all right, once and for all. 10 years after I discovered Andrew and went all through that stuff and created Galactic History 2 and all this sort of stuff, right? Anchored Galactic History 1, and he would never acknowledge it, you know, but I know exactly what was going on because I cleared it on March 17th. I could feel it all. And I took all that energy back, all right? And all these fuckers and all these negative beings that had done all shit to me over the years, I took all that energy back. And then I got massive energy boost, and then yeah, I got the energy to actually heal from very bad past lives. So getting to 47 this life was a big achievement. But this is what happened when we established the 12D grid. This was very cool. Had very high, like the King of Whales come through. So this was like a, you know, I've expressed my mechanics. I'm more feel like my talents are feminine, where females that have very high visuals are masculine, right? There's a really interesting dynamics there, okay? Like oracles have masculine visuals, you know, and I've got this feeling sort of stuff. But in this session, when we'd done that, I had this giant whale come through, like telepathically, and I could see it. And you imagine it was like the king of the whales, and it was 11, 12D. I would say it was over 12D, right? Because of the 12D grid, and I would say it's over 12D, right? It's in untouchable territory with this, all right? But what happened was it came through and it communicated with me. It was like just gratitude and thank you. You know, you get these visions and you weep because it's so overwhelming, right? And so the eye is giant, and what the visual I had was we connected foreheads, you know, like just connect foreheads, and I connected just behind its big eye on its right side, and then it was swimming off and stuff. And so yeah, had the king of the whales come through and thank us for what we did. It was like Frodo in Lord of the Rings. Yeah, it was really magical. So it was, yeah, freaking epic, crazy. And just being on it and realizing potential every moment and stuff like that. And so March 14, 2013, 12D grid and Earth is back online, alright? And I'll show you an image. I haven't shown this one since the Ellie Echoes, Amplify the Echoes series. But this is one of the short terms. Like, we haven't had 12D since 208,216 BC. That was when there was a big war, and Ashiana talks about big ambush sort of went on, and we've been 10D since, so we haven't been able to connect to source. The planet hasn't been able to, and it's interfered with a lot of the stellar activation cycles. So on a short time frame, that's how long since we've been able to be in this state on the planet. Perhaps it's vastly more than that, right? But I'll just offer you that mechanics relative to her teachings and reference of what we've just done. So yeah, this is obviously going to be quite long, and I talked a lot at the start, but yeah, take it as you want. Discern the shit out of it as always, guys. It's up to you. But yeah, this has been, in my opinion, this is what it was a big achievement for me, all right? 10 years in the making, poetic on a date, timing, what I've been through and what I know. To do it with someone very special, who will see what happens in the future with them. It's a victory for them, and I do this to acknowledge them for their contribution, and everyone that has contributed to it, that probably is in the background that we don't even know about. But I invite you to contemplate it and discern it, tune into it, see if it aligns with you. If it doesn't, that's cool. If you think I'm full of crap, that's cool. Alright? Explore all those options. I invite them. But I want to invite you to recalibrate to a new energetic reality with the 12D Earth Awakening happened just recently, and really reassess a lot that what you've been through. Really ask yourself, have all these people that you've been involved with, if you've been thorough over a long time, whether they've been actually aligned with you in this or they haven't. And just really observe what's going on out there. See who's recalibrating to this and what they're offering is in alignment to it or not. Perhaps you're going to start seeing a lot of the players that aren't operating in our best interest. And I invite you to recalibrate to a new energetic reality with this truth of my perspective, from my perspective. So yeah, there's some stuff that I've probably missed. It's been a while since I've done one of these. I had to sort of structure it pretty well. I wasn't going to try and make it too extensive or long or add too many clips. I hope you enjoyed the clips at the start if I've offered some clips. But yeah, it's interesting times. Hey, just really see if anyone out there perceives this stuff, right? But maybe a lot of people start now, okay? And just observe the world how it is, because in my opinion a lot here, they're going to do a lot of infighting to maintain themselves in a finite reality for them when our infinite and 12D is here. There's just another thing that I worked out with another client that I haven't offered. It's and this was going back a couple of weeks, is that we worked out with this individual, they were being messed with because they did the Four Corners, Ancestral Soup and revocations relative to Andrew and their property, and it was distorting them and their relationship, because in my opinion all that stuff was going off to feed the Venus distortion and stuff. There was a lot of substance abuse and friction and distortion and inability to maintain energy hygiene and all this sort of stuff. So if you've done that to your property, you probably need to undo it. I'm not going to tell you how to do it. You need to work it out or seek help individually. But in my opinion, that's done so much damage to so many people's properties, and it's the cause of a lot of issues on top of a lot of other stuff. So it might be the way that you're getting infiltrated and hijacked and hacked and all that sort of stuff, right? So I would look to undo it. And context is all. So if you know it's, like the flower of life sort of symbol metaphor that I put on the videos and images, if you know it is having a negative effect on your body, like I got allies that are practitioners that put the symbols on their bodies to do muscle testing and they get the negative effect, right? But I know in me, when I know the context and the truth, I'm able to negate it, right? So if you know if you haven't known that that's a variable that's been messing with you, if you know this now, then it could be a huge ally to improving your life and all that. So yeah, I'm going to do other videos and stuff. I don't really want to say what I'll do in the future, but I might get into that more and other things as well. I've got a lot of cool Anunnaki stuff to share, including this one being that came through before this one that I did the work with, because they went through a massive past life sort of stuff, that they're an invincible being, universal changer that did a lot of positive stuff in the session that I had on the 12th with them. That's done a lot of positive for us, alright? But I'll round this out and we'll leave it with this and plant this recalibration seed into the reality. And I just want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey on whatever level. Don't take anything negative what I've said. It's just we're have to do trial and error, and experience is the key to wisdom. Until we actually go through it, we don't know what's going on. But now we've got a lot of context, and you've helped me impart this to share it to the other people out there. So thank you to everyone that sought me out, and to those that will in the future. I look forward to seeing you. And as we enjoy our 12D Earth once and for all. So thank you guys. Thanks for being here. And I hope you get a lot from this. And until next time, keep it going. Our potential is infinite. Best of luck. Andre out.
In December, heading for the city lights. 975, we're sharing each other, nearer than father. Scent of lemon drips from your eyes. We are the people that rule the world. Rejoicing in the world, take me now. We can
John Lilly once put it this way: there are no limits at all to the human mind whatsoever, except those we impose on ourselves because of our beliefs. And those limits are also beliefs to be transcended. And that's a view that suggests that the possibilities of human transformation are virtually infinite. And we have no way of knowing the outer horizon of what it means to be human.
And really, to understand all this, everything, you have to go very, very deep into a study of history, consciousness, neurophysiology, everything. You have to be the supreme eclectic type of leaning, and you really have to be wanting to know who you are and what everything's about.
And the thing that you'll find when you go to sacred sites, if you're very humble about it, is that you are on a personal journey, and the sacred site will respond to you in a way that is appropriate only to you. The information is always what you are searching for. And it's the intent you give that energy that defines whether it is used for right action or not. And it is inside these sacred spaces that you will be reminded that you are a god, that you are a bright star.
So what you're trying to do is move through the course without ricocheting off walls or creating karma. You're trying to slide through things smoothly. How do you do that? It's called flowing. There's a technique that you can do that will allow you to touch some part of your inner being that has more knowledge than your conscious state does.